when you switch drummers, it can completely switch the vibe of the band or the recordings. And once Mad Dog's out, who's more of kind of a jazz type of drummer, you've got a whole different thing there also.
Yeah. Well, Vinny was, he was a good rock and roll player, but in a lot of ways, the most influential member of that early band was David Sanchez, the keyboard player,
Yeah.
and he was, a classically trained player who was conversant with jazz, classical music, rock and roll, and he pushed or didn't push, but his influence sort of pulled Bruce in a more jazzy direction. And you can hear it like in Kitty's Back on The Wild and the Innocent, which is this, and everyone gets solos. And in that time, that version of the band, Bruce was deeply into like letting everyone, everybody soloing and having their turn in the spotlight and having the songs stretch out. There's a great recording from, I think, early 1974 where they're playing in a club in Nashville called Mothers. It's a soundboard tape, and it's like each song is like 10 minutes long. I mean, they do a 10-minute version of Blinded by the Light that begins with this really long, kind of funky, jazzy, sort of instrumental section, and then eventually kind of finds its way into the central part of the song.
Oh yeah,
But
I
they
got
all played like that. And then
yeah.
when, Vinny was a great player, but he would push the band. They would play faster and faster, and he was getting wilder and wilder. And Sanchez was doing his kind of weird jazzy digression stuff, and Bruce was super into that stuff. And when Vinny Mad Dog left the band or was invited to leave, there were some other personnel problems. Then they got Matt Swinberg, who's a much more of a traditional straight ahead player. And then Sanchez left to start his own sort of jazz fusion band. And he was replaced by Roy Bittan, who is also intensely trained and can play jazz really well, but was much more comfortable just playing this kind of straight ahead rock and roll stuff that Bruce was after at that point.